I was sitting in my car when the message came in. Not from my daughter, from a florist. "Thank you for attending the wedding. We hope the arrangements met your expectations." My hands didn't move. The engine was off. The world felt paused, like it was waiting to see what I would do with that information. Wedding. Yesterday. I hadn't been there. I scrolled. There were photos attached. White roses, gold accents, a familiar smile in a dress I had never seen. My daughter's smile. She looked complete, whole, like a life had just locked into place, without me. I replayed our last conversation in my head. "It's small, Dad, just for special people." Special. I tasted that word. Bitter, metallic. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Then I smiled, not because I was happy, because something finally made sense. A week later, she called. Her voice was sharp, irritated, rushed. "Dad, rent is overdue. Did you forget?" I let the silence stretch. "No," I said calmly. "I didn't forget." She exhaled hard. "Well then—" "Didn't I tell you?" I asked. She stopped breathing on the other end. I could hear it. The pause, the shift. I raised her, paid for the apartment when she said she wanted independence, covered the bills quietly, invisibly, like gravity. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being her father and became infrastructure, useful, replaceable. Her mother taught her that. My ex-wife had always been good at rewriting reality, at teaching our daughter which people mattered and which people were optional. I wasn't shocked. I was disappointed in how clean the erasure was. No argument, no confrontation, just removal. The wedding wasn't the betrayal, it was the decision behind it. I didn't confront her. I watched. I pulled bank statements, lease agreements. The apartment wasn't in her name. It was in mine. I had signed it after her breakup when she cried on my couch and said she didn't feel safe alone. I remembered that night vividly, the shaking hands, the promises. "I'll always need you, Dad." I smiled at the memory. People always confuse need with respect. I checked the wedding registry. Her new husband had contributed nothing. Interesting. I checked his employment history. Unstable. Debt. A pattern of living just above disaster. So she didn't marry love, she married escape, and she assumed I would remain the floor beneath her feet. I let that assumption rot quietly. The confirmation came on a Tuesday, a forwarded email. She hadn't meant to send it to me, a message to her mother. "He didn't even notice. I told you he wouldn't. Once the honeymoon's over, he'll cover things like always." Didn't even notice. I stared at the words. Not angry. Clear. I replied to my daughter that night. "Rent will be handled." She responded instantly. A heart emoji. I deleted it. The following week, I met her in person. Coffee shop. Neutral ground. She talked about stress, about married life, about how hard things were becoming. I listened. Then I slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a single document. Notice of lease termination. 30 days. Her hands shook. "Dad, what is this?" I sipped my coffee. "An update." Her voice cracked. "You can't just—" "I can," I said softly. "I own it." Her eyes searched my face. Confusion, fear, realization. "You said rent was handled." "It is," I replied, "by the people who attended your wedding." She opened her mouth, closed it. Her husband hadn't shown up. Of course he hadn't. She called that night, crying, angry, accusing. I let her finish. Then I said it. "I wasn't special enough to be there. I'm not special enough to save you now." Silence. Not dramatic. Empty. I hung up first. I didn't feel victory. I felt alignment. For the first time, the truth matched the roles. I was no longer invisible support, no longer a resource mistaken for love. She learned something important, and so did I. Family isn't blood, it's presence, and I was finally absent, by choice.